じゃあ皆さん, before we get started with this next grammar point, I want to review a little bit the concept of transitivity pairs that we talked about in chapter 18. So, transitivity pairs, in other words, are when we have a pair of two different verbs. One of them is the transitive and one of them the intransitive. So, our transitive verbs are verbs that take the particle o, and they show us like something you do to something else. Like, I open the door. So, you do something to the door. Whereas intransitive verbs, verbs like aku, these ones take ga, and they show us something that something does on its own, where there's no object to the sentence. There's nothing in the sentence that will take o. So, like, for example, the door opens. Like, if it's an automatic door or something. When the door opens, we use a different verb. So we have akeru, you open something, versus aku, something opens. Shimeru, you close something, versus shimaru, something closes. Ireru, you put something in to something, versus hairu, something or someone goes in to somewhere. Dasu, you take something out, versus deru, something or somebody goes out. Denki o tsukeru, you turn on the light. Denki ga tsuku versus the light comes on. Denki o kesu, you turn off the light. Versus denki ga kieru, the light goes out. Kowasu, you break something. Versus kowareru, something breaks on its own. Yogosu, you get something dirty. Versus yogoreru, something gets dirty. Otosu, you drop something. Versus ochiru, something falls. Wakasu, you go to boil water. Versus waku, the water boils. Mitsukeru, you find something. Versus mitsukaru, something gets found. So these are the transitive, intransitive differences that we've talked about before. So, じゃあ皆さん見てください。私は窓を開けます。Then, when I come back into the room later, I can notice, 窓が開けてあります。窓が開けてあります。私は車を洗います。Now we can take a look at this car and notice, 車が洗ってあります。車が洗ってあります。So, 開けてあります。洗ってあります。This is our new grammar point for this chapter. So, 何々が the te form あります。So, てあります goes with a transitive verb. So, 車を洗います。車が洗ってあります。窓を開けます。窓が開けてあります。So, a transitive verb in the te form plus あります。So, これは、we use, for example, in a situation like this. 天気がいいから、新しい空気を入れよう。Let's let in some fresh air. 天気がいいから、新しい空気を入れよう。そう、私は窓を開けます。で、窓が開けてあります。明日はデートだから、車をきれいにしなきゃ。そう、私は車を洗います。And then, 車が洗ってあります。In other words, this is an action that we have done with some kind of specific objective in mind. So I open the window in order to let in fresh air, and now the window has been opened for some kind of purpose. The purpose being to let in the air. Or, I have a date tomorrow, I want my car to look nice, so I wash my car. And now the car has been washed with that kind of purpose in mind. So a way that kind of helps me to remember this is to think back, if you remember te oku, te okimasu. from one of the previous chapters. So we use te oku, te okimasu to talk about what we need to do, like to prepare for something. So I kind of think of it as like te okimasu is like when we're doing the preparation. Te arimasu is when all those preparations are done. So we've done something as like a sort of preparation for something or for like some specific purpose. We open the window to let in the air. We washed our car so that our car will look nice for the date. So for example, 今晩パーティーがあります。もうたくさんビールが買ってあります。So I have a party tonight, so a lot of beer has already been bought to get me ready for the party. いつ風邪をひくかわかりません。I don't know when I might catch a cold. And so, 私の家にはいつもいろいろな薬が置いてあります。There's always lots of different medicine at my house because I don't know when I might catch a cold. ですね。薬が置いてあります。So let's take a look. 寒いです。寒いです。窓が開いています。どうして？寒いですか？今日は天気がいいから開けてあるんですよ。So, the difference between 窓が開いています and 窓が開けてあります。So the てあります that we talked about in this chapter, this goes with a transitive verb like 開ける. This shows like the resultant state of when you have some sort of objective in mind. So the window is open because the weather is nice. I opened the window specifically because the weather is nice and I want to like let in the fresh air. Meanwhile, the 開いています the intransitive verb plus ている this is just showing my observation. Like, oh, it's open. I'm just describing a thing that I see. So, intransitive form plus ています you are just describing something that you see. てあります with a transitive verb, you are talking about something that has been done for a specific reason, with some sort of specific purpose in mind.